in the schedule, which is another division matchup. This one, Rams and Seahawks.
Okay.
Now, I know, again, you kind of just got back into watching the entire NFL as a whole last year. The craziest thing about this matchup, Mike, is back when the Seahawks were great, like Legion of Boom, Super Bowl days, they would always lose to the Rams, at least once.
Sure.
I remember there was a play with a fake punt return that went for a touchdown. Like, it was Tavon Austin on one side of the field, and he acted like he caught it, but it was actually, I think it was Pharaoh Cooper.
Okay.
That caught it on the other side and ran it all the way back for a touchdown. It was really interesting stuff. But I bring that to you because it's divisional. It can go any way. With that being said, I'm going to take Seattle in this one. I think, the major storyline in this is Geno Smith. Was last year a Cinderella story, or is he just a better quarterback now because he's been in the league, he's a vet, and he understands the game better? Those are two possible solutions. Of course, Seattle destroyed last year in the playoffs by San Francisco. Destroyed. Sure. I think, they're on a mission to prove something, but I don't think they can prove anything. I think they're still going to be a good team. Maybe they reach the playoffs again as a wild card. But other than that, I don't see much coming out of Seattle. Their rookie last year, Kenneth Walker, K9, which I think is a great nickname. He wears number 9. His nickname's K9. Beautiful. He led the Seahawks to an 18th ranked rushing attack, and I'm just wondering if that's going to improve with the offensive line being where it is. I'll let you take over for the Rams. You're the old guy. Tell me about Matt Stafford and his young wide receivers over there.
Oh yeah, like you got down here, he's still adjusting to the players.
I did tell you about that, right? His wife, Kelly, came out and said publicly that he is having a hard time relating to his teammates.
Well, then I think you got a big problem, and I think you got a quarterback that you got to try to move. You can't.
He's too expensive. You can't move him anywhere.
Too expensive, too old, all of that.
Can't move him anywhere.
You can't do anything with the guy. But
he got you a Super Bowl. That's all you wanted. You pay. Bill Belichick said it best. You pay a hefty price to buy a Super Bowl, but it's worth it in the end.
Fair enough. And is he worth that tag to sit on the bench, all that money he gets paid?
He's not sitting on the bench.
I know, but I mean, I'm thinking that in my head at this point, because if you can't relate to your teammates, you don't have a team.
Yeah.
That's just plain and simple. If you don't have the chemistry, it's not there.
I can agree with that. But the defense, Mike, other than Aaron Donald, there's nobody there. And Aaron Donald, possibly the greatest defensive player in the history of football, or right now, however you want to talk about it. I've heard people tell me, they don't understand the hype, and I don't get that. But he's great. But other than that, they really lack star power. And I just think the Rams need a lot of things to go their way. Cooper Kupp was already, today, was downgraded to out. He's not playing. So that gives me an even better reason to pick the Seattle Seahawks.
I agree with you. They're done.
They're an old team.
They're a one and done team. They got their Super Bowl. They're done, and now they got to start their rebuilding somewhere.
But they don't
somehow.
But they're allergic to first round draft picks, Mike. How do they rebuild?
Yeah, how can you? They sold out, didn't they? They sold out for like the next 10 years or something. So
it's been almost 10 years since their last first round pick.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they sold their next.
I think
10.
they got the next one.
Oh, I hope. If they do, I hope that's true, because they need it. It's like I said, it's time to rebuild for that team. And I don't know what you do with Stafford, but you can't have that in your locker room.
Maybe this is his last year.
Hopefully he retires or something then, because you can't do. I think you're putting guys at risk when you're not in certain situations like that, because you're not trusting your teammate at that point. If you can't relate in some sort of way, you can't be trusted.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's
so just to confirm, you took the Seahawks there as well?
I am taking the Seahawks. Okay. I am taking the Seahawks. Stafford's time is done too.
I think he can still be good. I think he can still be good.
I think he's a good quarterback. I'm a Stafford fan.
Yeah.
I just with what you just told me, his time's done.
Yeah. Miami Dolphins at Los Angeles Chargers. This one, another interesting matchup to me. I think this one's going to be a shootout. I think bad defenses on both teams. I think the Chargers have some good defensive pieces, but overall, as a defense, they look good on paper. J.C. Jackson, Derwin James, Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, they look good on paper, but it doesn't always perform well. And I'll take over for the Chargers here. I think really you have to look at the fact that they have a new offensive coordinator. You know, that's really the major story here. Kellen Moore brought over from your Dallas Cowboys to be the offensive coordinator after the huge collapse, of course, we talked about earlier, against the Jags. I want to pick the Chargers because I hate the Dolphins, but I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So I'm going to let you talk a little bit about the Dolphins. What do you think? There's a lot of hype surrounding Miami.
I do know my pick, and you're going to hate my pick, so you already know what it is just by that statement. I think you could be right. It could be a shootout game. I think Tua is the guy. I do think Tua is. I think Tua is the real deal.
I have not heard enough people say that.
If he can stay healthy, okay.
Is he one concussion away from retirement?
I hope not, because I'm rooting. I don't want to wear this and say I'm rooting for the guy because and the only reason I say I'm rooting for him is because maybe I missed the nostalgia of my time with Miami in the 90s, early 90s. It was the biggest rivalry around. It was never the Patriots. Mm-hmm. So my era is that. So I'm rooting for that. I'm rooting for that Dan Marino, Kelly rivalry type deal. But I think that Tua can be the guy. I think he showed me enough over the past couple of years that he can be that guy.
You can film this show yourself.
Oh, just for that, I'm buying my buddy Mike's Dolphin jersey and hanging it in your bedroom.
Go hang out with Mitch. Go hang out with Mitch.
We're all colluding against you, Dan.
Yeah, I see it.
But I think
you got to look at Miami's receivers.
And not only that, but the head coach, as quirky and goofy as he is, man, he's a goofball. He's a total idiot.
You look at the receivers though,
too,
Mike, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. It's a mismatch for any team. I think those are two number one guys. If you put a number two cornerback on one of them, they're going to get torched.
The fastest guys out there.
Exactly. If Tua can put a decent ball, I was watching some highlights from last year, and sometimes Tua, his deep ball, wasn't a good ball, but it was good enough, and that's all it needs to be. It doesn't need to be a perfect ball every time, guys. If it's a touchdown, it's a touchdown. We're not gonna analyze who had the better touchdown this week. Who had the better touchdown?
Points are points, no matter how you get them. And that's all I've ever said in my life.
This one in Los Angeles, but the Chargers are known for not having fans,
which is crazy because
they had fans in San Diego. I hate that they moved them.
Yeah, obviously, but
I'm gonna regret this. I'm taking the Miami Dolphins. I'm not gonna say another word about it.
And you already knew I was taking the Dolphins, and you're welcome, Chris. No, you didn't persuade. My buddy didn't persuade me. The guy who makes you angry all the time. But I gotta go Miami. I want to pick the other team.
I do too. I think that they could do it, but too many things need to go their way. I'm not super high on the Chargers just because I know what the Chargers are. They're a team that gets riddled with injuries all the time. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they're never healthy for a full season. It's never black and white.
I think it ends up coming down to coaching in a lot of areas and aspects, and I think McDaniels is the better coach.
I'm on board with that. Moving on, divisional matchup. This one, I already have to pick a certain team.
Another one.
I have to pick a certain team because
on purpose, right?
I have to pick a certain team, and I'll tell you why. Packers at Bears is this next game. In Chicago. Jordan Love's debut. We're going to see if he has what it takes. This is really, Mike, if you think about it, right? This guy starting for the Green Bay Packers is the first time we've seen a quarterback sit on the bench for so long. Being a first-round pick, sit on the bench for as long as he did, and now he's getting his start. We're going to see if that age-old method of sitting behind a guy still works, or if you need to be on the field to be getting better. So I think that's going to be an interesting thing. I think their wide receiver room lacks star power. It was reported today. Both their top two wide receivers, Romeo Doubs and Christian Watson, both have hamstring injuries. Both are questionable to play. That's scary. That's a very scary thing, and it really warps my potential here to pick But their running backs are great. I mentioned them earlier, Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And then they have a solid defense. I think, they got young pieces, Quay Walker, of course, Jair Alexander, one of the best corners in football. And I'll let you take over for the Bears.
Take over for the Bears.
Who's at middle linebacker? You already know.
Oh,
4 years.
I know.
Of course I know.
Of course I know. Edmonds, my guy.
You had like 2 of his jerseys at one point.
I did. Did I sell those? I think I sold them.
I think there's one left. There might be one left.
Nah, I think I sold them. Doesn't matter. I just.
It's all good.
I usually keep them, but I had to go on to bigger and better things. I had to move on from some things to get some other things, so to keep the wife happy. Back to the Bears, though. Fields, they got him some help.
It's do or die. It's do or die.
Yeah.
He's got weapons.
The words out of my mouth, Dan. He's got some weapons now.
DJ Moore traded for from Carolina. Darnell Mooney's been getting better. I forget who the tight end is, but he played solid last year as well. I think he had 5 touchdowns along with 800 yards, something like that. So really, it's up to Fields to develop as a quarterback. We know you can run the football. We know you can do it. We know you can break some ankles. Can you lead this team? Are you the guy? Because if you're not, we need to move on.
Yeah, and maybe I was thinking about him when I was saying he's not that great in the air instead of Jalen. But, it's do or die for him. It's do or die for him, and I don't think he goes on another team after. I think it's do or die NFL career.
Really? Oh, that's rough. With these 2 wide receivers being hurt,
I'm going bold this week. I'm starting off with a bang, bud. Sorry.
I want to take the Chicago Bears. I want to take the Chicago Bears, especially with the 2 number 1 receivers possibly being injured and not playing. I think
Plus the Bears are the more well-rounded team, offense and defense, like you said. I think.
I don't know about that. I didn't say that.
I think they're a little bit more well-rounded with the injuries.
I think at least one of those wide receivers for Green Bay is going to play, whether it be Dobbs or whether it be Watson. And because I want Kevin to come over again, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers in this game. One of us has to. Kevin, I love you, man.
I'm going to pick the Bears because he wore a Jets jersey in my house, a jersey shirt. No, it's a tough one to call. I want to like Green Bay. Green Bay has been like lucky with their quarterbacks.
Well coached.
They went from Favre. They went to Rodgers to the Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. You think the spoiling ends here?
I think that maybe it could possibly end, but I like. I'm gonna pick the Packers with you, buddy. Right. I'm gonna stick with it just for Kevin too.
All right. I'm not gonna do this every week, just so you know, pal. It's because it's Bears week. You're getting me. You're getting me for Bears week, but
you know what? I should pick the Bears. I should switch mine to the Bears right now for the wife's best friend.
Nope. Picks are final. Cowboys and Giants. It's your team, Mike. So I'll take the Giants because I'm nice. I think. What you look at is the surprising playoff berth. I guess he's gone. It's fine. I don't really care. What? Does anybody else want to do the show? Is there anybody else out there that knows English at least half as good as he did? Because he wasn't great at English in general. So I'm very curious.
Absolutely terrible in English class. I had to take remedial.
Yeah, just punch your fucking.
I'm punching all my walls. I was absolutely remedial, and I have to do this just for Danny because he hates the Cowboys just as much as he hates the Dolphins. I'm pretty sure.
No. It's not the same.
Not that bad?
It's not the same.
I had to do this.
I hate Cowboys fans more than I hate the Cowboys.
Yeah, other fans are obnoxious.
But I'm going to take over. I'm going to take over for the Giants real quick. Last year, a surprising playoff berth, really. Like, you did not expect the Giants to be a playoff team. You probably expected them to be a top 10 worst team last year, to be honest. And they kind of came out. Obviously, we know their head coach, Mr. Brian Dable, really worked out real well They paid Daniel Jones. I don't know if that was the right move. I do know the money wasn't the right move. They didn't pay Barkley. They paid Barkley for an extra million to not be on the franchise tag exclusively, but it's a 1-year deal. So he's going to be a free agent again. And there's no depth. There's no depth for the Giants at receiver. The defense is lacking. I think you can see this team go from a playoff team last year to missing out this year.
Yeah, they're still kind of in a rebuild.
Because guess what? You figure how they did last year. I mean, they still finished third in the division. So I think their schedule's not going to be the hardest in the world, but it might still be a little bit more difficult than they're prepared for.
Yeah, I didn't really look at their schedule, so I'm not sure how difficult it is either. But
well, you figure it went Eagles, Cowboys, Giants.
I never paid attention to that stuff before this, so you know that. I just watch and enjoy the game. That's it.
You knew the Eagles went the furthest. They went to the Super Bowl.
I did, because I was watching and enjoying the game.
All right. Now you don't have to use my notes for the Cowboys. You can talk about anything you'd like here with the Dallas Cowboys.
No, actually, I think a lot of your notes were probably pretty close to the same as mine. I did do notes on that one because, of course, it is my secondary team. I'm sorry, everybody. I know you're disappointed in me every time I say that.
We are.
But I mean, Giants home field advantage. You mentioned Dayball. Another quarterback guru, clearly. I mean, he's convinced me. He's convinced the rest of the league.
Yeah.
Clearly, him getting passed up on jobs before was a bad idea by other teams. I'm very impressed by him. Another rivalry team. Divisional game. Huge rivalry. The addition of Brandon Cooks, with CeeDee Lamb. My biggest question is, can Dak tame his turnovers? Turnovers. He was the highest in the league last year.
What do you think about burnt toast in the secondary there? Are you okay with burnt toast?
I mean, I gotta be. I think he's still got a little juice left in the tank. A little juice left in the tank. You got Diggs. Secondary stacked. I gotta go.
You on the Tony Pollard train?
Yeah, I am. I think that he's gonna be the new star-studded. Okay. He's gonna be top 5.
What about
maybe not this year?
What about your offense losing their coordinator? Are you concerned about that? Because Kellen Moore went off to join the Chargers.
Yeah. I mean, people come, people go.
That's a big piece to replace.
It's a big piece to. Bills did it. The Bills.
Just because one team does it doesn't mean that everybody can.
No, not everybody can.
You don't even know who their offensive coordinator is.
No, I don't. I never looked at it because you just reminded me they lost it. That's how big of a Cowboys fan I am. I just love the jerseys.
Huge Cowboys fan. I'm taking the Cowboys. I think the Giants could steal it, honestly. I think that could happen. But I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys, even though the away team in this matchup.
I also obviously was going to pick the Cowboys. I'm not going to pick them every week just because I like them. But I got them winning by a very thin margin.
Yeah.
I think. But if Micah can turn it on, Daniel Jones is dead meat, and it could turn into a blowout.
Yeah, offensive line's not great for the Giants either. So you're concerned with the pass blocking. You're concerned with the weapons at receiver. I think in terms of you're looking at matchup versus matchup, I'm taking the Cowboys in a lot of those matchups. If it comes down to coaching, I don't know that Daboll's worse than who is it now? Is it still McCarthy?
Yeah, McCarthy. I
don't think McCarthy's all that good of a head coach, to be honest with you.
I don't think he is either. I think Daboll can outcoach him if it comes down to coaching. If it comes down to a coaching game, the Giants might steal it.
Might take it, yeah. And this could be a huge game, for down the road. The NFC East. Remember when it was the NFC least? Last year it was the NFC Beast. So we got to see exactly what that division looks like this year. Our lights are going off here in the KellyCast studios, so I think it's about time we close this show down. I'm Dan Kelly. This is Mike Kelly. We want to thank you for checking out the KellyCast podcast. It's going to be releasing every single week. This week it's a little later. We're sorry it happens. Again, every week moving forward, we're going to have a live show 1 hour before the Buffalo Bills games. As of now, every week, we'll see what happens. We'll see exactly how that goes.
Except Jacksonville, like you said, but I'm excited for that.
Dan has a lot of people blowing up his phone. Dan, I need you to come over. Dan, I need you to come over. Dan, I need you to come over. Hey, guys, I'm filming a show. So, sometimes they're going to win, So we'll see exactly how that goes during the regular season. But again, we want to thank you. Please like, please share, please subscribe, follow the Facebook, follow the YouTube. I'm going to be doing more skits. Hopefully Mike can join me in those. Obviously, a lot of the times I do it when he's at work because, he works full time and I don't. So that's all I have to say for everybody. I hope you learned something. I hope you laughed along the way. Our controversy will create clicks, Michael. And thank you for joining me.
Let's create some more controversy.
I'm just going to stay like this till it ends at the 30-minute mark.